The navigation is going to be a kind of interesting one. As you can see, by default it is hidden, and the menu icon is displayed at the top left corner of the page. It has a fixed position. Once I click it, then the navbar will display from the top nicely, and all the navigation items will appear with some fade effect. Also, if I hover over them, then they will change the color. If I click the menu icon back, then the navbar will hide again. Okay, that's it, what we are going to create. So let's go ahead and start with the HTML markup. I'm going to write it before the container. Let's insert here new comments, navbar, end of navbar. Then open HTML5 nav element with the class navbar. So overall we will have 5 different navigation items. They will be represented by the link elements, and each of them will include a font awesome icon with some text. Okay, let's open the link element with the class navbar link. Then insert here I element with the classes FAS, FA home. Then the font awesome icon will be followed by the span element. Let's insert here home. Okay, so overall we will have 5 navigation items. Let's go ahead and duplicate the link element 4 times and then change the class names and also the content of the span elements. The second one is going to be utensils, and as the content let's write meals. Then we will have hamburger. The item is going to be burger. Then the next one is going to be pizza slice, pizza. And the last item is going to be blender phone, contact. Alright, so here we have the navigation items. The only thing that we have to do is to create a div element for the menu icon. Let's assign to the class menu. Actually, this element is going to be empty. We will customize it from CSS. Okay, and that's it regarding the HTML markup. Let's go ahead and start to write CSS. I'm going to insert new comments right after the comment styles. We need here navbar, end of navbar. Then select the nav element and first of all define width and height. I'm going to set width to 100%. As for the height, let's make it 14 rem. And also change the background color, make it black. Okay, so here we have the navbar. Actually, it should be fixed, so we need to set its position to fixed. And also make the top property 0. Alright, so if I scroll down the page, then the navbar will maintain its position as fixed. As you can see, once we scroll down, then some of the elements end up on top of the navbar. And in order to fix that, I'm going to use the index property with some higher value, let's say 100. So now the problem is fixed. Let's move on and take care of the layout of the navigation items. For that, I'm going to use flexbox. Let's set display property to flex and then center items horizontally and also vertically using justify content center and align items center. Alright, so the items are placed in the center, and the last thing that I want to do about the nav element is to create a little shadow effect. Let's use box shadow. Let's insert here 0.2 rem 3 times, and as the color, let's use black. Okay, so with the nav element, we are done. Let's move on and customize the link element. Let's select navbar link. First of all, I'm going to change the color. Let's make it light gray using color AAA. And also I'm going to create some space on the left and right sides using margin with the values 0 and 4 rem. Alright, next let's customize the eye elements and also the span. I want to make them bigger, so first of all I'm going to select font awesome icon. Let's increase its font size, make it 7 rem. As for the span element, let's change its font size, make it 2.5 rem. Then I'm going to make items bolder. Let's set font weight to 900. Also, I'm going to create some space between the letters using letter spacing with the value 0.5 rem. And then create some space at the top using margin top 0.5 rem. Alright, so as you can see the navigation items look much better, but we need to change the layout. I mean, we have to place icon and the span element on top of each other. So for that, let's use Flexbox. Then, in order to place elements in the column, we need to change the direction. Let's make it column. And then place items in the center, I mean both vertically and horizontally. Use justify content center and align items center. Okay, so the navigation items look nice. Before we move on and customize the menu icon, I want to create a little hover effect. Once we hover over the items, I want to change the color slightly. So let's select Navbar link with hover and change color, make it white. Besides that, in order to make the effect smoother, let's use transition with the values color and 0.3 second. Alright, that's it. Right now with the navigation items we are done. Let's move on and customize the menu icon. First of all, I'm going to define width and height. Let's set width to 4 rem. As for the height, I'm going to make it 6 rem. And also change the background color, make it black. So right now the menu icon is not visible because it is placed behind the navbar. So I'm going to place it a little bit down. Like the navbar, menu icon should have a fixed position as well. So let's set position to fixed. Then define top property, make it 15 rem. As for the left property, I'm going to make it 5 rem. Alright, so now as you can see the menu icon is visible. Next I'm going to take care of its shape. We will change its shape using border radius. Actually you can define different border radius on different sides. Let's use border radius. The first value belongs to the top left corner. I'm going to make it 30 rem. Then the next one is for top right corner. Let's make it 30 rem as well. Then we will have bottom right corner. I'm going to make it 15 rem. As for the bottom left corner, let's make it 15 rem as well. Okay, so as you can see, the shape of the menu icon is changed. Next, I'm going to add to it a little shadow effect. So let's use box shadow. Let's insert here 0.1 rem 3 times with a black color. And besides that, I'm going to add here another shadow, but on the left side. So I'm going to use here 0.1 rem twice with the minus sign. Then 0.1 rem and again the black color. And lastly, let's change the type of the cursor, make it pointer. Alright, that's it about the menu icon. Next I'm going to create a line which is going to be the part of the icon, and we'll create it using the before pseudo element. So let's use before and first of all define content, make it empty. Then I'm going to set width and height. Let's make width 0.3 rem. As for the height, I'm going to make it 15 rem. Then change background color, make it black. And also set the position to absolute. Okay, so the line is visible. As you can see, we have to fix its position. Let's set the top position to minus 15 rem. As for the left position, we need to place the line in the center. The width of the line is equal to 0.3 rem. We need to move it to the left side by 50%, but also we need to take into account the width of the line in order to center it perfectly. So to do that, I'm going to use calc function, where we should calculate 50% minus 0.15 rem, which is the half of the width of the line. So again, in this case, the line will be perfectly centered. Okay, lastly, let's add some shadow effect to the line. Use box shadow with the values 0.1 rem, 0, then 0.1 rem and the black color. Okay, so with this style we are done. Now we have to make the navbar work, and for that I'm going to use a little bit of JavaScript. Before that, I'm going to place the navbar and the menu icon in their default positions. I mean, when the navbar is hidden and the menu icon is placed a little bit up. Let's change the top position of the navbar and make it minus 14 rem. As for the menu icon, we need to change its position, I mean the top position, and make it 1 rem. Alright, so everything is ready to make the navbar work. We're going to attach a click event to the menu icon. So let's go to the JavaScript file and select menu using query selector method. Next, we need to attach to it add event listener. It takes 2 arguments. The first one is the type of the event. In this case, we need click. As for the second argument, it's going to be the callback function, which will be executed once we click the element. Now we need to select the navbar and the menu icon. Actually, we can do that separately, but it would be better if we assign to both elements the same class and then select both of them simultaneously. So let's assign to them class target. Now, in order to select the navbar and the menu icon, I'm going to use the query selector all method. Then inside the parentheses as the class name, I'm going to specify target. So we're going to add some new styles to both elements once we click the icon, and then get rid of those styles on the next click. For that, we need to loop through the node list, which is returned by the query selector all method, and we have to add to each element a new class using toggle method. After that, we will define new styles using this class from CSS. So in order to loop through the node list, I'm going to use one of the array helper methods called forEach. Actually, forEach method takes 1 argument, which is a callback function, and this function will be executed for each item in the node list. So let's insert here an arrow function. This callback function itself takes 1 argument, which is the current item in the list throughout the loop. I'm going to call it item. So now, as we said, we need to add to both elements a new class using the toggle method. For that, let's use one of the properties called class list. We need to attach it to the item. It gives us all the classes that the element has, and also it allows us to access different methods in order to manipulate the classes of the element. In this case, we need to use a toggle method, which allows us to add class to the element if it doesn't have it, and remove class if the element does have it. Okay, now we have to pass here the class name. Let's call it change. Okay, that's it about JavaScript. Now we have to write some CSS. But before that, I'm going to show that both elements are getting a class change on click. So if I inspect the page and display the elements, and then click the icon, you will see that both elements get classes. If I click again, then they will be removed. Okay, now we have to define new styles using class change. Let's select the menu with change. So once we click the icon, we need to move it down. Let's change its top position, make it 15 rem. So if I click the icon, then it will move down, and on the next click it will move up again. Let's make this effect smoother, so use transition with the values top and 0.4 second. Now as you can see, we have a much better result. Next I'm going to display the navbar, so let's select it using class change. I'm going to define top position, let's make it 0. And also use transition for smooth effect with the values top and 0.4 second. So if we click the icon, then the navbar will display smoothly, and then it will hide on the next click. In order to make this effect a little bit nicer, I'm going to add some delay time to the menu icon. Let's add here 0.2 seconds. Now the icon is moving with some delay, but that's not what we want. We don't need the delay time on the next click, so I'm going to use another transition, but with class change and without any delay time. Okay, now we have a better result, but still it's not what we want. We need delay time within navbar as well, so let's go ahead and add a new transition with the values top, 0.4 seconds and 0.2 seconds, which is the delay time. Alright, now as you can see, everything works perfectly. The only thing that we have to do is to display navigation items with some fade effect. First of all, we need to hide all the icons, so let's set opacity to 0. Then we need to display items on click, but with different delay time. So we need to select the navbar link with class change. Let's set opacity to 1. And after that, we need to define transition property for each navigation item with a different delay time. Let's go ahead and start with the first item. We need again change, then navbar link, followed by the nth child selector. And as the value, let's insert here 1. It means that we have selected the first navbar link. So as we said, we need here transition with opacity 0.4 seconds. And as the delay time, let's insert here 0.5 seconds. Overall, we have 5 items. So let's duplicate this code 4 times and change the values. For the second item, we need 0.6 seconds. Then the next one is going to be 0.7 seconds. For the fourth item, I'm going to pass here 0.8 seconds. And for the last item, let's make delay time 0.9 seconds. So if I click the icon, then the navigation items will appear nicely with some fade effect. Actually, we are almost done. We have here tiny issues. If I hover over the items, then we will no longer have a smooth hover effect. And also when we close the navbar, items hide without transition. The reason for the first issue is that the old transition of navbar link is overwritten. So let's go ahead and add a transition, color, to all the items down below. Let's make the duration 0.3 seconds. As for the second issue, we need to add opacity to the Navbar link by default. Let's make the duration 0.2 seconds. Alright, so now everything works perfectly, and finally we are done with the Navbar. Actually, we have finished building this project. The only thing that we have to do is to make it responsive to different screen sizes.